and join at the waist together, so they share this part of the pattern. And so that means you're going to have to trace the pattern a couple of times in certain areas because there's double layer. Okay, this one, however, you'll notice at the upper tier it hems lower than the next tier, and where this underskirt comes together with the lower underskirt. So we're going to have some different lines that you're going to have to pay attention to. Okay, all right. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to create the map, and here's the map that I created, okay? So I have my front and my back. I have my front and my back, and so what I did is I drew the lines for where the different components need to be. Notice I drew the tiers in red, so I know where the tiers start and stop, start and stop, start and stop, okay? Underskirt is in green, so here's the waist. Here's where the first underskirt layer stops, and then the second one. The second one stops here. There is no third underskirt because it's not necessary because the ruffle comes way down here, so an underskirt's not necessary. The underskirt really is basically there to support the tiers, okay? All right, so if you've traced off your front and back skirt, then we're ready to go ahead and start marking our locations of our tiers, okay? So I'm going to tell you those numbers now. And so on this, what we're going to do is we're going to measure from the side seam down. Do not measure from center front or center back because center front and center back are not the same. If you remember that when we drafted it, they did not align. They're in different places, okay? So we're going to use the side measurement, okay? So, so for our first line, and so I'm going to tell you first where the underskirt, to mark for the underskirt, okay? So the first level of the underskirt is, looks like it's 5 3/4, okay? So the first underskirt come down on the side from the waist, 5 3/4, okay? And I'm going to mark that in pencil. Okay, so this is 5 3/4. Okay, so now the second underskirt is down 5 and 1, 2, 3, 5 1/2. Okay, so 5 3/4, 5 1/2. Okay, it's going to be the same for both front and back because front and back share the side seam. So since they're exactly the same, we use that. So what you're going to do is you're going to mark where the underskirt goes. You're going to take a ruler and square it from center back or center front. Okay, so our L square. Take it with that little mark that you made and square it. Placing it right on the side hip. Make sure it's square. Draw your line. Draw your line. Okay? So that is for the underskirt. Okay? So you could do it the way I did it if you like to, where you draw a little arrow down to those lines from the top to where the first one ends, from the top of where the first one ends to the bottom of the second one. So let's go ahead and mark those two. Then when we come back, then we'll mark the tiers, okay? Because I know that's going to be a little bit more confusing because we got multiple lines, okay?